This is Ms. Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 1, Notes 3. So we're going to be doing a review of adding and subtracting fractions. This is something that you did probably maybe even in elementary school, but it's just something that's good to review every once in a while just to make sure you're on the right track with it. So let's take a look at what we need to know for adding and subtracting fractions. So first of all, in order to add or subtract the fractions, your denominator or the bottom of the fraction must be the same. So you have to have the same number. Okay, and if they're not the same, you're going to have to find a common denominator. And a common denominator is where the bottoms match. Okay, so the only way we can add a fraction is if the bottoms match. And when you do add a fraction, you're going to keep the bottom the same, and then you're going to go ahead and add the tops. So let's just take a look at what that's going to look like. So here we have a fraction. So first thing I do is I look at the denominator, or those bottoms, and I notice that they are the same. I have 5 on the bottom. So that means I'm going to have 5 on the bottom of my fraction. And then 1 plus 3, when I add those two together, I'm going to get 4. I'm going to check to see if the fraction can be reduced, and it can be reduced if it can be divided by any number on both the top and the bottom. And it doesn't. Okay, so that's our reduced fraction. So here I have 7 on the bottom, okay, on both of them. So 7 is going to be my denominator here, and then I'm going to add 2 plus 4, which is going to give me 6. So then I have the fraction 6 over 7. Okay, now let's go take a look at number 3. So for number 3, I notice that I have 5s on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and write my 5s, and then on the top I have 4 plus 4. Well, that's going to give me 8. Okay, now I don't want to leave this. This is called an improper fraction because the top is bigger than the bottom. So I need to think, okay, how many times does 5 go into 8? Well, it goes into 8 once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split up this fraction to be 5 and 5. And 8 minus the 5 is 3. So then I get 3 over 5. So then 5 plus 3 is 8. So that checks out. Okay, so what we're going to do is this 505 we're actually just going to write as a 1. Okay, so now I've gotten taken care of this, and what's left over is 3 over 5. So 1 3/5 is my answer for number 3. Now number 4, even though it's a subtraction sign, we need to follow the same rules as we do for addition. So 9s are both on the bottom, so we know we're going to divide by 9, but now I need to subtract those numerators. So I need to take 4 minus 2, and 4 minus 2 is going to give me 2. So then my final answer is 2. So that's my answer for number 4. Now, let's take a look at number 5. So here I don't have the same numbers on the bottom. So first thing I like to do is look at what numbers I have on the bottom. Well, I have 5 and I have 3. Okay, so then what I need to do is I need to figure out what the smallest number that 5 and 3 both multiply to is. And that's going to be 15. So I'm just going to rewrite this out and spread it out a little bit. So I have 3 over 5 times, and then what do I need to multiply 5 by to get to 15? Well, I need to multiply it by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and write this as 3 over 3. That's the equivalent of 1. Okay. Then here I have 2 over 3. And then I need to ask myself, okay, what do I need to multiply 3 by to get to 15? And the answer is 5. So I'm going to multiply by 5 over 5. So let's go ahead and simplify that out. When you're multiplying fractions, you multiply across the top and across the bottom. So 3 times 3 is 9. 5 times 3 is 15. Here, 2 times 5 is 10. And 3 times 5 is 15. So now I can keep my denominators the same. I'm going back to adding, so my denominator is going to be 15 since it's the same. And 9 plus 10 is going to be 19. So then, now I notice that my top is larger than my bottom. So how many times does 15 go into 19? Well, that's just going to be 1 time, right? So then I need to figure out, okay, when I have 19 and I'm going to take that 15 away, what do I have left? Well, I have 4. So that's what's going to be in the numerator of our fraction. So then we have 1 and then 4/15 as our answer for number 5. Taking a look at number 6 now. So we have the fraction 2 over 5. And we need to figure out what's the smallest number that 5 and 2 both multiply to. Well, the smallest number they both multiply to is 10. So in order for 5 to go to 10, I need to multiply by 2 over 2. Then I have 1/2. Now, what's the smallest? I need to get it to 10, sorry. So what do I need to multiply 2 by to get to 10? And that's going to be a 5. So now I'm going to multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. And then remember, we made that 10 on the bottom. 1 times 5 is 5, and that's going to be 10 as well. So now I can keep my denominator of 10, add my numerators, and I get that my answer is 9/10. Okay, so now let's go take a look at number 7. So I notice that I have the same numbers on the bottom. So since I have the same numbers on the bottom, I know I can have the 8. And then I can add my numerators. Well, 1 plus 5 is going to give me 6. Now what I notice is both 6 and 8 can be divided by a number. In fact, they can both be divided by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 6 and divide 8 by 2. And then I end up getting 3/4. That's that process of reducing the fraction. We always want our fraction in simplest, proper form. So that's our answer for number 7. Taking a look at number 8 now, we have 5 as our denominator, and then we're going to add 3 plus 2. Well, 3 plus 2 is going to give me 5. So here I happen to have 5/5, and 5/5 is the same as 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 9. So when we throw in and we have these big numbers mixed in, or whole numbers like this 3 and this 2, we can just ignore them until we get the fractions simplified. We don't need to really do much with them. So taking a look at the denominators here, we have 8 and 2. So what's the smallest number that 8 and 2 multiply to? Well, actually, it's going to be 8. Okay, so this first fraction and whole number are going to stay the same. So then I need to ask myself, okay, what do I need to multiply 2 by to get to 8? And I need to multiply it by 4. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this by 4/4. So then I have 3/3. And then I'm going to have that 2. And I'm not going to multiply the 4/4 by the 2 at all. The 2 is going to kind of stay as its own thing. So I'm going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. So now when I add this together, I want to add like terms. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to add whole number to whole number and fraction to fraction. So there's my whole number, and then my 8 is going to stay on the bottom, and I'm going to add the numerators here to get 7. So let's take a look at number 11. So same thing here. We're going to figure out, just focusing on the fractions, what is the smallest number that 4 and 8 multiply to? Well, again, that's going to be 8. So taking this first fraction, I'm going to leave the 11 alone, but I'm going to write it so I don't forget about it. Then, what do I need to multiply 4 by to get to 8? Well, I need to multiply it by 2, so I'm going to go ahead and do 2/2. Then minus 4 and 5/8, and then we don't need to multiply that by anything. So then, what we're going to do next is we are going to multiply these fractions. So we have 11. And then 3 times 2 is 6, and then 4 times 2 is 8, minus 4, and then 5/8. So again, we want to subtract whole number to whole number, fraction to fraction, okay? So 11 minus 4 is going to give me 7. 6 minus 5 is going to give me 1, and that's going to be over 8, because that was our common denominator that we found. Let's take a look at number 11. Okay, so again, we're just focusing on that fraction to start off with. So what's the smallest number that 6 and 2 both multiply to? Well, that's going to be 6. So we have 4/5/6 minus 2, and then we have 1/2. So what do I need to multiply 2 by to get to 6? I need to multiply it by 3. Okay, so I have 4 and 5/6 minus 2, and then 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so now what we're going to do is subtract. So 4 minus 2 is 2, and so then I have a denominator of 6. 5 minus 3 is 2. Now, look at that 2/6. That is a fraction that can be reduced because both of those can be divided by 2. So I'm going to take 2 and I'm going to take 6 and I'm going to divide both by 2. And that's going to give me 2 1/3. So taking a look at number 12, we need to figure out what the smallest number that 10 and 4 multiply to. So think about it. What's a number that can be divided by both 10 and 4? And the smallest number is actually 20. So then we're going to do 9, and then I have 5/10. Sorry, something fell and it startled me. 5/10 right? So what do I need to multiply 10 by in order for it to be 20? Well, I need to multiply it by 2. And then here we have 1 over 4. And then what do I need to multiply 4 by to get to 20? Well, I need to multiply it by 5. So then here I have 5 times 2, which is 10. 10 times 2, which is 20. Here, then I have 1 times 5, which is 5. 4 times 5, which is 20. So then we're going to go ahead and do 9 times 4, which is 5. And then, or minus, sorry. And then we need to subtract these two fractions. Well, we're going to have 20 on the bottom, and then 10 minus 5 is going to give me 5. Well, I can reduce the fraction 5 over 20 because they're both divisible by 5. So that's going to become 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So all of that crazy business up there turned out to just be 5 1/4. That's pretty neat. All right, let's take a look at this next one. What is the smallest number that 3 and 10 multiply to? And unfortunately, that number is going to be 30. So I'm going to start with my 9, and then I have my 2/3. Okay, so what do I need to multiply that 3 by in order to get 30? Well, I'm going to have to multiply it by 10. And then I'm subtracting. Here I have 4 and 8/10. Well, what do I need to multiply 10 by to get to 30? I need to multiply it by 3. So here I'm going to have 2 times 10, which is 20. On the bottom, 3 times 10, which is 30. And then I have 4, 8 times 3, which is 24. 10, excuse me, times 3, which is 30. So then I'm ready to subtract these. So I have 9 minus 4. That's going to give me 5. Okay. Then I have 20 minus 24. Uh-oh, I ran into a problem, right? I don't have enough in my 20, and I don't want to make it negative, so I actually have to take from the 9. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take 1 out from the 9, and that's going to give me 8. But then that means I can add another 30 to the top. So if I have 8 plus 1, that's really the same as 8 plus 30 over 30 plus the 20 over 30. So I took 1 out of the 9 so I could make that fraction bigger. So this fraction is actually going to become 50 over 30 minus 4 and then 24 over 30. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to simplify this. So 8 minus 4 is going to give me 4. And then 50 minus 24 is going to give me 26 over 30. So I notice that right here, they're both even, which means they both can be divided by 2. 26 divided by 2 is 13. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So that right there is your final answer for number 13. Taking a look at number 5, we need to figure out what number can be divided by both 3 and 2, or the smallest number they both multiply to. And that's actually going to be 6. So I'm going to take this 5 here, I'm going to do 2 over 3, and I'm going to multiply that by 2 over 2 because I want to get that 3 to multiply to 6. Then I have the 2 here, and I have 1/2. And then in order to get to 6, I need to multiply by 3 over 3. So here I have a 5, 2 times 2 is 4, and then on the bottom, 3 times 2 is 6. And here I have a 2, 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. So now I have the same number on the bottom. So I'm going to add 5 and 2, and I'm going to get 7. 3 and 4, and then I get 7 over 6. So here's the problem is I have a bigger number on the top than on the bottom. So I need to take out one whole thing. So I'm going to take out a set of 6 from that 7. So that's going to make this 8 when I take out that set of 6. And 7 minus 6 is going to give me 1. So that's what's left over on the top. So then I get 1/6. So I just want to do a quick review of graphing some of these points and plane stuff because I know they can get confusing, so I thought I'd do another example. So it says that lines B and Y are coplanar but in plane Q but do not intersect. So let's start by drawing plane Q. Okay, so lines B and Y are coplanar, which means that B and Y are on the same plane. Remember, planes, capital script letter. Lines, lowercase script letter. Okay, then line X intersects line B and line C, okay? Or line Y, sorry. So this is line X. So it intersects B at point C. Remember, you're going to use a capital letter, not script. Here, Y at point D, so you're going to use a D. Taking a look at number 16, R and B, so these are two planes, are going to intersect at XY. So here's a plane, here's another plane. So here's R, and here is B. And so remember, planes always intersect at a line. So here's the line in which they intersect. And since we have 2 points here, since the line is named by 2 points, it means that those are 2 points on the line. So then we get X and Y. Okay, so that concludes your note video for today. Definitely let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for listening.